Well, I want to welcome all of you here today. We have a very special guest with us. Her name is Colleen Pasnik, and she is the director of Mary's Inn. And so, Colleen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And as I've learned a little bit about Mary's Inn, what an exciting ministry. And so, this is a ministry that ministers to single pregnant women, and they provide wonderful services in a very holistic ministry as far as taking care of their emotional, spiritual, and physical needs. And so right away, Mary's Inn, okay, this is, why don't you explain it? It's a home for, and I just try to explain it a little bit, but if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
Sure. Well, we came up with the name Mary's Inn because at Christmas time, we recall the story of how the Holy Family was looking for a place and there was no room at the inn. Right. But at this inn, named after our Blessed Mother, there's room for girls who are pregnant and in need. So that's kind of how the name came about. And our logo is a stylized logo from Our Lady of Guadalupe, who appeared to the Aztecs in Mexico in the 16th century, and is also the patroness of the pro-life movement. So that's kind of how the name and the logo came together, is Mary's Inn.
Well, when we think of the Bible story, I think about, well, what is written, for instance, in Luke chapter 2. When you hear you got Mary, who is, she's what, like a teenager, and she's pregnant, she's poor, and she's engaged to Joseph, and Joseph is really wondering, what in the world is going on here? And I think Mary, there was a time where she was even questioning all of this to the point where she goes to her cousin Elizabeth, basically to say, am I losing my mind here? What's going on? I've been here, there's been angels, and here I am. I'm a virgin, but yet I'm pregnant. How's anybody even going to believe it? What am I going to say to Joseph?
Yeah, right.
So all these things. And so, and then getting to Bethlehem, and there was no room in the inn.
Yes.
And so Jesus was born in a stable.
Yes.
But now you say that there is room in Mary's Inn.
Yes, absolutely. And we are a faith-based apostolate. And so we did want that connection with Mary and Jesus and the story of his birth and the place where he was born. So.
Okay, well, what was kind of the impetus behind all of this?
Well, in Thanksgiving of 2011, we became aware of a young girl who had moved to Dubuque from Chicago area, and she was pregnant. She was invited to come here and live with a friend, and she was there for a couple weeks, and then the friend's husband said, she's going to have to go. So suddenly she had nowhere to go, and she couldn't go back to Chicago because of domestic violence. So she was looking for a place to stay in Dubuque. And it's kind of a long story, but a group of people ended up helping her. She lived with one woman, Gwen Nillis, for a couple of months, and then she moved in with the Jack and Laura Dahlheid family until she gave birth to her little girl in April of 2012. And after that, we thought, okay, well, now we'll just get back to our regular lives. But over the course of the next year, 3 more girls came to our attention, and they were 15, 15, and 16, pregnant and nowhere to go. So we suggested they contact the Maria House. But the Maria House only takes women over the age of 18. So these teenagers wouldn't have had anywhere to go. So we thought, God, are you asking us to do something? Because we don't know anything about opening a maternity home. So we prayed and discerned and prayed some more, and we came to the conclusion that God was asking us to do something about this problem. And so every step of the way, he just opened one door after the other. So we just kept walking through. So one story, for example, was there are 3 of us who are the founders. Myself, Marion Borick, and she's currently the director of Dubuque County Right to Life, and Sue Lansing. So one day, a man called Sue Lansing, and he said, I hear you want to start a maternity home. And she said, that's right. And he said, well, I'd like to donate $800. And she said, that's wonderful, thank you. So within a day or 2 after that phone call, we were filling out the paperwork to become a 501c3. And what is the filing fee? $850.
Wow.
So she called and said, would you do $850? And he said, sure. So things like that just kept happening where God provided exactly what we needed when we needed it. So we did file for our 501c3 status, which we got. And in May of 2013, we went and visited a maternity home in Omaha called Bethlehem House, and they've been open for 10 years. And we had a ton of questions to ask them. And then in July of 2013, we visited another maternity home in South Bend, Indiana called Hannah's House. And they've been around for 25 years. And we had a ton of questions for them. And they have been so good to us. They mentored us. So they shared with us all of their policies and procedures and all their wisdom of 25 years. So after that, we put a board of directors together. We pulled from a variety of disciplines. So we've got a nurse and a pediatrician and an accountant and a lawyer and business people and just a variety of people on the board because we know we don't have all the answers. And we put our board together and they met in November of 2013 for the first time. So after that, we started getting serious about looking for a home and everything like that. So in the fall of 2014, an anonymous couple came forward and they said, we would like to loan you the money so when you find a house, you can buy it. Okay. So we were so grateful because you can't buy a house without money. Right. So that was in November of 2014. And in January of 2015, a couple months later, we found a house that we thought would work well. And we went through the rezoning and all those city council requirements in March. And we passed all those and we closed on the house April 20th. And then we had an open house on May 31st. And that couple came through and that night they called and they said, we would like to change that from a loan to a gift. Oh. I said, the whole thing? The whole thing. So God has provided every step of the way. So we're so grateful. We couldn't do it on our own.
Talking about having a divine call and purpose, and that's the whole thing when you do God's work, that God will provide all that you need. The doors will open. Isn't that something? And what a blessing that is.
It is.
You know, that there are compassionate, you know, that the Holy Spirit is touching the lives of people through the church. You know, that God is activating, you know, the church, meaning not just a specific denomination, but the Christian church in general, to say, have compassion.
His people, that's right. And it was especially powerful for us because we don't get, even though we're a Catholic maternity home in that all of our, everything that we say and do in the home is consistent with church teaching. We don't get any funding from the Archdiocese of Dubuque, and we're not part of the Archdiocese of Dubuque or any one parish. We're just a group of Catholics. So it's very important for us to see God working and providing every step of the way, and it's just been beautiful. And it hasn't just been Catholics that have responded. The broader church community has been just, I can't say enough about how wonderful the community has been.
Yeah, so you got some very strong core Christian values through the Catholic Church, and that's, you know, the values that are within this house. But yet it's supported by, you know, so many wonderful people.
Absolutely, and we will take a girl of any faith or no faith. You know, we don't just take Catholic girls. In fact, the 3 girls staying at the house right now aren't Catholic. So we'll take a girl of any faith or no faith, but we just feel like this is God's work and He wants it to happen, and He has provided for us every step of the way. So
yeah, it just sounds like His hand has just been guiding and leading you the whole way.
It sure has. In fact, we opened our doors on June 15th, so just 5 months ago. And for the first month, we didn't have a resident. So we didn't quite know what to do. So I called the director of a maternity home in St. Louis called the Sparrow's Nest. And I asked her what they did, because they were open for months without a resident. And she gave me some really good ideas. But one of the ideas she said was, well, she said, I called our local cable company and they made a commercial for us. And it was professionally done, and then they aired it 200 times on the cable channel, and they only charge us 75 cents each time. And I thought, I I'm going to have to call our local cable company. So I spoke with her on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:30. The very next morning, Wednesday at 9:30, before I could call them, Mediacom called me. Would you like to be the recipient of this program with our internship? And we will make you a commercial and we'll air it 200 times and we'll show it on 5 different stations of your choosing. And I'm just looking at the phone thinking less than 24 hours after I heard about that idea, they initiate the call. So just another God story that I thought, okay, God is in control.
God is,
Yeah.
God is in control, but he needs people like yourself to be instruments of that work.
And it's way more than one person. I mean, it's all of us pulling together.
Right. And so then based on that, would you say that that is kind of what kind of brought forth some of the awareness of Mary's Inn then, that you start having some people come through the door?
Well, we have been working hard on awareness ever since we put our board together in November of 13. Our first year goal was to get the word out about Mary's Inn. So we've been speaking at churches, the Telegraph Herald has had an article, the Witness has had something. So we're really trying to get the word out about Mary's Inn. So that was one of our first pushes. And then the next push, of course, was the house. And then the next phase of the business plan would be getting up and running and house mothers and residents and the program in place. But we've been working on awareness for a couple years now.
Yeah, it just sounds like this whole process has been in the works now for a number of years.
Yeah.
But now it's become a reality. And so you've had now a few residents that have been that have come to Mary's Inn.
Yes, that's right. We've had a total of 4 girls that have lived at Mary's Inn. The first resident moved in July, and middle of July, and she just had her baby on the 8th of November. So she is still there. Then a second resident moved in August, and she had her baby a week later.
Okay.
So that was the first baby born to the inn, a little girl, and she has since moved on. Then the third resident moved in mid-September, and she had her baby the middle of October, another girl. And so we've had 3 girls born to the house. But the other resident who's living at the house right now is due March 7th, and she's expecting a boy. So that'll be the 4th baby to be born to Mary's Inn.
Yeah, well, how exciting.
It is.
Praise the Lord.
That's
Thank
right.
the Lord for his goodness and his
That's right.
ministry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so now you have, I'm sure that, well, every person is the same, but yet is different. I mean, they got something in common, that they're all going to have a baby, but each person is their own person and their concerns. But as they come, to Mary's Inn, what can they expect? To say now, if there's somebody out here, or if there's somebody watching today, or you're feeling, kind of apprehensive about all of this, what would they expect to say, well, I think I'm going to check out Mary's Inn? What would happen? I mean, what are the steps? Let's say that there's a young a mother here who's looking to stay at Mary's Inn until it's time to deliver, and you just kind of tell us the process a little bit as far as what all happens.
Sure. Well, the first thing to know is that we're not a shelter. So if someone calls and says, I just told my folks I'm pregnant and they kicked me out, can I come and stay there? The answer is not today. So we're not a shelter. We're a program. And so the first step, though, is to contact us. And a girl can contact us directly. And our website is long, but it's marysInnmaternityhome.org. And all our contact information is on there, whether they want to reach us through Facebook or the phone or the email. But they would call and let us know, and I would talk to them on the phone and find out a little bit of information. And then the first thing we do is we set up an interview. And it happens off-site in a public place, so Panera or someplace public. And I meet with the girl and hear more about her story and where she's coming from and what her needs are. And then I share with her what life is like at Mary's Inn to see if she thinks it would be a good fit. Because Mary's Inn is not a shelter, we're not just a bed. It's a program. And so on the very first visit, I let the girl know that there is a 35-hour productivity week requirement. So for 35 hours a week, she either has to be working or going to school or volunteering or looking for work. But there's no just laying on the couch watching TV. You have to be productive 35 hours a week. Also, there's chores that have to be done. So they have their personal chores, so they need to make their bed and hang up their towel after their shower and keep their area neat and picked up. But then there's also weekly chores, and those rotate. But it might be dishes this week, it might be sweeping one week. And then there's a monthly chore, which is a little deeper cleaning, like maybe a wash the windows or something. But there's chores that have to be done. There are no boyfriends allowed, or fathers of the baby. No boyfriends at all allowed. So that is a deal breaker for some people. And also the other requirement is we have 10 minutes of prayer every day in the house and church on Sunday. And if the girl has been going to a church community, we're happy to get her there on Sunday because we want her to keep any supports that she might have in place. If she doesn't have a church, then she can come to Mass with us on Sunday. We don't require that she become Catholic, but she can come to church with us.
Right.
So that's the first interview. She learns all that. I leave her some information for her to think about. And then if she's still interested and thinks it's a good fit, she needs to give me 2 references. So a teacher or a neighbor or an aunt or a coworker, someone I can call and check her references. Then if all that looks good and she's still interested, the second step is for her to come and look at the house. So she would come and have a tour, see the house before she moves in. She would still have the opportunity to say, I don't think this is a good fit for me. But if she tours the house and thinks it looks good, then we'll set up a time that she could move in. So the fastest really someone could come in is about 2 or 3 days, if everything goes, clicks right along. But that's kind of how it's set up. So we're not a shelter, but we want her to know that there's a program. Oh, and I forgot to say too, every week we have life skills education. So on Wednesday night, we have someone come in that talks about something just basic to a life skill. So for example, we might have someone come in and talk about budgeting, like how much of your income should go for housing and how much for food. We might have someone come in and talk about conflict resolution. We might have someone come in and give a basic, here's how you make, spaghetti, just a basic cooking class. We did have a fun one the other day. We had a woman who works at the bakery in Hy-Vee offered to come in and just show them how to just decorate a sheet cake.
Okay.
And they had so much fun. She might come back and do Christmas cookies. So there's always a life skill that we want to involve, be teaching them while they're there. And there's a group of nurses from Mercy Hospital. They come every 3rd week, and they'll talk and they're from OBGYN, labor and delivery, the NICU, and pediatrics. So babies are their thing. And they will come in and they will talk about either how to give an infant a bath or fetal development or nutrition during pregnancy, gestational diabetes, anything that the girls want to ask them. They really want to tailor it to the residents and what their needs are. So that's every 3rd week we've got a nurse coming in to do the education. So it really is, we're trying to give a well-rounded program. If they need counseling, Catholic Charities has offered to meet with any of the residents for free while they're living at Mary's Inn if they need professional counseling. Because the house mothers that we have are awesome, but none of them are professional counselors. So we have a variety of wonderful women. They're all faith-filled. But if someone needs professional counseling, then we do reach out to the greater community and make sure that they get what they need.
It sounds like it's quite a network of support.
Yes, very much. The whole community, I just cannot say how wonderful the community has been. It seems like it's the Holy Spirit that is touching their hearts. It's not me saying something or a house mother saying something. It's the Holy Spirit saying, this is my work. I want your help. And it's been humbling to see how many people are willing to step up.
So like how long can a young expecting mother how long can she stay, you know, prior to the birth of her baby? And then is there some time following the delivery of her baby? I mean, can she stay some time following the delivery too, or how
Yep.
does that all work?
That's a good question and a common one. So of course, as a maternity home, they can stay throughout their pregnancy at no matter what stage they come to us. Like I say, in August, one woman came in and she had her baby the next week. That's not ideal. We'd like a couple months because we are providing you know, the spiritual, the emotional, the safety stuff, the making sure she gets to her prenatal appointments. But so she can stay during her pregnancy, and then after the baby's born, she can stay for up to 6 months. And we're flexible on that number. If she needs to stay for 7 months before her apartment opens up, well, then she can stay for 7 months. But when a girl moves into Mary's Inn, there's 10 different areas that we sit down with them and ask them what their goals are. And for example, one area is housing. So when she moves into Mary's Inn, she knows it's temporary. So what's your plan for housing? They have closed the Section 8 housing list because it was a 3-year wait. So that closed in April. So there's no getting on a Section 8 housing list. So it might take you 6 months on a waiting list at an apartment complex to get an opening. So we ask them, what is your plan for housing and what steps do you need to take to get there? And then I meet with the girls weekly and say, okay, did you call them? What did they say? Or did you fill out that application? Just to try to keep abreast of it, because before you know it, they could be having their baby and then, you know, forgot to do those steps. So we look at housing, we look at education. Right now, the residents living at Mary's Inn all have their high school diploma. But if they didn't, we would work with NICC on how that would happen. So housing, education, employment. Sedona has been wonderful. They have offered to help with the girls, either finding employment or coming and doing one of those life skills classes of interviewing. You know, how do you interview? What questions will they ask you? How should you dress for an interview? What should be on your resume? So they've been wonderful to offer help like that. So we look at 10 different areas. And so they all know it's a transitional place to live. And we need to help them get their things ready for when they leave. So they can, I mean, they might only stay 2 months after the baby comes, or, you know, but at least we need to start working on getting all these pieces in place. So.
Yeah, so what a wonderful ministry. It just sounds to me like that this is a place where they can come, where they are welcome.
Yes.
There's a sense of refuge and comfort and strength here. Yeah. But yet you're working on the next step. You know, how do we help you to become self-sustaining, self-supportive? And it just sounds like you are empowering these young mothers and equipping them, you know, and just really giving them that confidence that they need to say that I can, you know, be a wonderful, loving mother in this world, and I can provide for my baby and all these various needs. So this is an exciting ministry. Are there ways that people can get involved with this ministry to say, well, you know, Colleen, we're very excited about Mary's Inn, and I've been looking for a ministry that I can support or volunteer or help with. Yep. Are there opportunities for that?
There are opportunities, and they could contact me through our website, which is marysinmaternityhome.org. And my email, phone number, our Facebook is all on there, so there's different ways they could get in touch with me. And we have volunteer opportunities. One of the biggest needs we have actually is transportation, because they might need to get to work or get home from work, or they might need to get to a doctor's appointment or a WIC appointment. So when we just had the one girl living there, it wasn't such a big deal. The house mother could take her. But now that there's 3 residents and 2 babies, the house mother has to stay at the home. And so one of our big needs is transportation, just someone that lives locally that has a couple hours, and they might say, you know what, if it's something on a Friday morning, I could help. So transportation is one of our bigger needs. Also, if a woman is interested in being a relief house mother, Sometimes it happens where there's a little gap in our schedule of coverage, and we might need a woman to come in for an hour or 2 or 3 and just be in the home, because the home does have 24/7 supervision. And that was not only a promise that we made to the neighbors and the community in general, but that was part of the plan from the get-go. A lot of education happens informally when that house mom is around, getting supper ready. Could you chop this tomato? Or here's a nice way to try to burp a baby. So a lot of informal education happens with the house mother. So if there's a woman who feels like that would be a good fit for her to be like a relief house mother for a couple hours, they could contact me too. And I'm always looking for paid house mothers. So we're full right now, but that doesn't mean someone can't get sick next week.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in any of those things, they'd be welcome to contact me.
Well, this is a good chance for the church to be activated and to say, hey, let's surround this ministry. Mary's Inn. We always say, well, there's no room in the inn, but now there is, okay?
Now
and
there
so
is.
that's the church, just seeing the needs and allowing to be that place of Christ for people.
Exactly, and you mentioned no room at the inn, and I should say that we can take up to 4 residents.
Up to 4.
And we have 3. So we do have 1 opening, so if anyone is watching or knows someone who could use a place like Mary's Inn, contact me and give me a call, because it is first come, first serve basis. So, and the 3 who are there right now might be there for the next 3 or 4 months. So, but we could take 1 more.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is Colleen Pasnik, and so nice that you have been with us today. And I just am very excited about your ministry, and it just, Mary's Inn. I can't think of a better name for such a wonderful ministry, and being able to be there for women who are expecting a baby, and to really encouraging them and loving them and giving them all the confidence that they need, so that as they take steps, then that little baby is going to be in a position to be able to take some confident steps into the future. And I want to thank all of you for joining us this day as well.